Hey, happy Thursday evening, everyone. Which means it's the night before Friday, right? Right. So let's see here. Who do we got? Who do we got so far? Chatting anyway. Brian, good to see you, so to speak. Jakester. Jakester says, "Hey, just finished Whisperer and Darkness. Do you mean the story or the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society movie, which is really, really good as well?" So, Alan, Marianne, good to see you guys. Oh, anyone watching this now or later who happens to be new, I'll just briefly say that I've been doing the Sunday podcast for a very long time. And recently I thought I would, those are with my panelists and guests and so forth. Recently I thought I would do, try just me on a Thursday night. Like night talk radio. It was an experiment to see if you guys were interested, and apparently you were, because we are at episode 44 tonight. So, also, I'm using a new mic, and so please let me know if my sound is too loud, too not loud enough, doesn't sound as good as usual, that kind of thing. I need some feedback on this microphone. Actually, it's not new. I've had it for a long time. I just haven't used it. Hey, Suzanne. Two of my three teachers. Well, no, I have more than. No, because I've got. Hayden's a teacher too. He sent me a really nice email. I should have asked him if I could share it, but it was really, really, really nice, especially right now. Alan thinks, when you say lower pitch, do you mean my voice sounds deeper, or do you mean the volume is lower than usual? Because I can get lower to the microphone. It'll just help me for next time. If it is not good enough to do an episode, please let me know right now, because I don't want it to be inferior. Okay. All right. Thanks for the feedback, people. Alan's a teacher. Suzanne's a teacher. School it's getting close to being over for the school year, right? Getting there. Also, if you're not on the email alert list, you can find that in the episode show notes. And you'll only get a couple, 2 or 3 emails a week, just to let you know, remind you about the episode, or, on some occasions tell you that I need to skip a night, that kind of thing. So Alan, you're finished totally? You don't have to go back to school, or you're just finished teaching and you've got to fill in some days? Danielle said her seniors were last day tomorrow. So anyway, so yeah, the email alert list, and then also in the show notes and in the side chat here, I posted the Patreon. If you're not a Patreon, it's only $5 a month. I could use the support. It helps me, obviously, financially, but it's also very helpful emotionally, and you get a hell of a lot of extra podcasts for the, $5 a month. If you're not a Patreon, Alan has offered something really nice that I keep forgetting to announce. And Alan is offering 6 months, a 6-month Patreon at the $5 level, which is where you get all the podcasts. So email me, lovecraftezine@gmail.com, if you're interested. And I'll wait a couple of days, and then I will choose somebody randomly and let Alan know. So again, email is Well, you know what? Let me type it in here real fast. Should make it easier. At gmail.com. There you go. Got it right there. And thanks to Alan for that. Appreciate it, buddy. Alan does a lot. So, I'm going to talk about some books I've been reading. Mainly. But I promised you guys I would bring you up to date on what's happening with my wife's job. The bad news is, officially Tuesday morning, the board, which I realize now we're just going to rubber stamp anything that the principal wanted, voted to non-renew her. Now, what happens, and you guys know this, Alan and Suzanne, is, look, I'm biased, but you could ask any teacher in that school, the students. Danielle's a phenomenal teacher, and more than that, she truly, truly cares about the students. And there are many, many teachers you can't say that about, okay? So, to have a teacher of a dozen years who acts like that, who's worked so hard, given so much to the school, been hugely responsible for the new high school, I don't know what proper terminology is, but the new high school overall score thing. They got an A with a distinction in reading. A huge part of that was because of Danielle. So, yes, I'm biased, but there's a lot of other evidence to back up what I'm saying. And she could have, so the principal came and said he wasn't going to renew her contract for next year. So what she could do is resign, so that's not on her record because some schools don't like it. Or number two, she could not resign and decide to fight it. Well, obviously we lost the first battle, and we're going to probably, I might almost say certainly, lose the second battle. What happens next is a hearing sometime in the next several weeks. And at the end of that hearing, the board votes again. The reason why she's still doing this is because, and the reason why she took Danielle and I have always been about the right thing is not always the easy thing. And in fact, many times it is not. Hi, Monty. Did you want to join the discussion, buddy? There we go. Yep. All right. You're being crazy, you know that? So anyway, the easy thing to do would have been to resign, get another job somewhere else as a teacher, and that's it. But I'm limited what I can say here, okay? But I promised you guys I would bring you up to date. There is so much going on there that the public needs to know, I think is okay to say. And this hearing, she can demand a public hearing, and legally they have to, in Texas, they have to honor that. So the public is going to find out everything that, the admin in that school does not want them to find out. And that's why she did it, and I could not be prouder of her. And, the good news is, well, this is not good news overall, but the good news is for us is there's a teacher shortage, and so she's looking for jobs in Tallahassee, where her sister and our grandniece and nephew live, and looking for jobs around here. So we're just going to see what pops. So that's the story. It's been really hard for her, and she mentioned to me that let me know if you guys can still hear me. She mentioned to me that we're both going through this. And I said, yes, that's true, but you're the one on the front lines, having to deal with them in the way that they're being. So anyway, yeah, Alan, let me know if you can hear me. I'm sorry, I'm just a little worried about the microphone tonight. So that is what's going on. Thank you. That is what's going on with Danielle. It would have been very easy to take another route. There you go. There you go, Monty. You can lay down there, buddy. Oh my God. Cats. That looks like Latin, Alan. What's that mean? So anyway, yeah, it would have been very easy to take the other route. But Danielle and I feel that I can't say anything, but I don't have much respect for the board. Yeah, don't let the bastards grade you down. I like it. They'll get to hear both sides of this, not just the principal's side. However, I would be flabbergasted if that actually changed things. But it's always possible, especially with public pressure, because Danielle is very well liked. The other thing, there would be no way to let the public know what's going on. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So that's why we're doing this. So I guess enough on that. I'll just repeat that I'm very proud of her. And again, the right thing is not always the easy thing. And we believe very strongly in that. All right. Thanks everyone. I know you wanted to know. Thanks, Daniel. Let's talk about some fun stuff. All right. So, yeah, it sucks. But the good news is we've got 4 more months of paychecks through the summer, and more importantly, 4 more months of health insurance. So we have time, but it's not a fun place. It's not a fun place to be right now. All right, so if we move to Tennessee, there are a lot of pluses, but there are some minuses too, some negatives too. And one of them is, I would lose my office here, my book house, and that's que sera, right? You can't control a lot of what happens in life, but you can control your reaction to it. And my reaction is my AC just went off. My reaction is that I've always been okay as long as I have my own space. It could be a big closet, it could be a spare bedroom, whatever. And I know we'll figure that out. All right, so like I said, fun stuff. If you haven't read a book called The Rim of Morning by William Sloane, check it out. It's 2 cosmic horror novellas set in, or written in the 30s, 1930s. So they're very well done. They were reprinted, I don't know, maybe 10 years back. The 2 novellas are To Walk the Night, and the second one is The Edge of Running Water. So I just wanted to recommend New York Review Books Classic. Yeah. I just wanted to recommend those to any of you who, there's my air, who, if you haven't heard me recommend them before. You did? Wow, that's wild. Well, you'll like it, Edward. All right. Yeah, I was rereading the second novella, and I thought, have I recommended that enough? Might have been a few years. I'm slowly building up my little, I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't quite see it. Slowly building up my Leslie Klinger annotated books section here. And I recently got to purchase the new annotated Sherlock Holmes Volume 2. Volume 1 was a gift from a Patreon, and this, I say purchase, but a couple of people, one of them a Patreon, gave me some Amazon book certificates, so I used them wisely. So there's that, and then there's also this that I bought with the gift certificate. Ghost Stories, Classic Tales of Horror and Suspense, edited by Elisa Morton and Leslie Klinger, and these are annotated also. They have stories like by authors like let's see here, some light. Nathaniel Hawthorne, Charles Dickens, Poe, and some lesser knowns, Wilkie Collins, and how many of them are there? Henry James, Edith Wharton, Arthur Machen, and I knew that I hadn't read all of these, or at least all of these in a while, and I wanted to add to my Les Klinger collection, so I got it. So it's been really good so far. You guys should pick it up. And then, what else? Yeah, you said that your wife is really into ghost stories, right, Alan? Edward, yes, I do have Frankenstein, bought with gift certificates a while back. Here it is. Les's annotated Frankenstein. I actually had it on Kindle, or still have it on Kindle, and not last year, but the year before, Danielle was teaching it to her English classes, and Les Klinger was nice enough to zoom in once and talk to her students, and they just loved it. And it was really, really great, interesting talk he gave, which, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, it held their attention. So it's funny that you would ask about Frankenstein, because there's that little story there. So, I'm sorry. And the Ghost Stories book, I wanted to read just a tiny bit from the introduction by Les Klinger and Lisa Morton. Talks about how the light on here. Spiritualism became prominent somewhere along at the same time the ghost story did, which is no coincidence. Yeah. Speaking of the spiritualism movement, it's no coincidence that the ghost story experienced a rebirth of popularity at about the same time. Both spiritualism and the acknowledged fictitious ghost story evolved out of the Enlightenment of the 18th century. Prior to that time, ghosts had either been confined to dramatic presentation or tales that were presented as true. So it's really interesting. Yeah, your wife probably would like it, Alan. So, Let's see. The second volume of the Sherlock Holmes annotated begins with the empty house. And Les writes that it's probably the most highly lauded story in the canon. And I don't disagree. It's such a wonderful story. And to read it with his annotations is just wonderful. All right. Terminator. I want to talk about Terminator. What I want to talk about with Terminator is there was apparently a Terminator novelization. Now, this probably doesn't come as a huge surprise, I would guess, but the surprise is that it's really amazing. And I'm looking at a Reddit post, and or a thread really, and I'm gonna include it in the links here. But it says the Terminator novelization by Randall Frakes is amazing. Every character has a backstory. It's written very well. And down a little bit, someone explains why it's so great. I'm going to just read what he says. J-Bradley1. He says, what makes the Terminator novelization so special compared to most others is that not only was it co-written by one of the writers of the movie, William Wisher, but it was actually written after the movie was finished and released, which is really unusual. Most movie novelizations, because the studios want the books out concurrently with the release date of the film, the writers are just usually working from the latest draft of the script, along with some supplementary materials to adapt, not the full complete movie itself. To the studios, a movie novelization is an afterthought. He sued Harlan Ellison sued James Cameron for. It's interesting where Cameron's idea for Terminator came from, but I don't think it was that. Novelization to most studios is just a kind of a t-shirt to promote the movie. So movie novelization writers hardly ever see the movie they're adapting. A draft of a script that's possibly subject to major rewrites and a few scraps from the studios. For example, when Alan Dean Foster wrote the Alien novelization, he had no clue what the actual alien looked like. But with the Terminator, since not many people were betting on it being such a success, the film's marketing team wasn't exactly working overtime. But when it did start to prove its success in theaters, that was when everyone was like, where's the promo for it? Where's the novelization? Having the whole movie itself to work from, William Wisher and Randall Frakes banged that literary masterpiece out in 2 weeks. And he says, just like the Terminator, they killed it. Bad news is, it's $80 to $90 online to buy. The good news is, I found a PDF that I've already shared with the panelists, and if you want a copy of the PDF, just email me, lovecraftezine@gmail.com. I definitely am not one to do things like that, to, but the fact is there's just no other way for almost everyone to read it, unless they want to waste $85, $90. And I've started reading it. It is a great story. I just uploaded the PDF to my Kindle. And so anyway, if you want it, I'm a few paragraphs in, and it's really good. And I will send it to you. Just email me, lovecraftezine@gmail.com. Darren, no, I don't think I have. Let's see, what's your... I don't think I have. No. Well, yeah, I have, but none come to mind right now. The other Terminator-related thing I wanted to talk about is Terminator 3. And now there's a novelization for that one, too. It's not bad. I actually have it on Audible and on Kindle when I found sales for them. And I don't think the Kindle is very much anyway. And I have that one. I don't think I have any of the others because I really like Terminator 3. And I know it has its critics. Everyone likes the Terminator, the first one. Everyone likes Terminator 2. And I agree. I do too. I actually like Terminator better than Terminator 2, but Terminator 2 is still a great movie. Okay, so Ben Handelman, my friend and co-panelist, said once that every movie after Terminator 2 is a sequel to Terminator 2. So like Terminator 3 is a sequel to Terminator 2. The newest one, Terminator Dark Fate, is a sequel to Terminator 2. So it's basically, the way I think of it is they're sequels in different timelines. You know what happened after Terminator 2. By the way, if you haven't seen Dark Fate, I really like it. It's certainly better than most of the others. And maybe overall it's better than Terminator 3, but the thing I really like about Terminator 3 especially is the beginning. It's kind of philosophical. John Connor is in 2003 and he good question, Alan. Alan says, are there more Terminator timelines or Halloween timelines? Yeah. John Connor even is doing a voiceover at the beginning, and he's talking about how Judgment Day didn't happen because they stopped it. And he says things like, I should feel free. I should, feel free to live my life, but I don't. And he stays off the grid. He is online nowhere. He works for day jobs for cash. And he's got a motorcycle that it appears, is riding around the country and just wandering. He's just walking the earth, And I don't know. I don't know if I'm describing it very well, but I just really like Terminator 3, especially the beginning. A problem with Terminator 3 is, for whatever freaking legal reason, you can't stream it. Actually, you can stream it, if you can find it. But what I mean is you can't stream it on Amazon or anywhere else like that. Of course, you can get it on DVD. And I think it's worth it. I mean, you can get it for probably $10 on DVD. Anyway, thank you for indulging my Terminator speech conversation. The novelization of Terminator 3 is so far so good as well, and it definitely has backstory. It has backstory for when both the Schwarzenegger Terminator goes back in time and when the Terminatrix goes back in time. And it builds up the world some more, the world of the story. So yeah, there's that. But I don't know. There are some great movies that follow the first Terminator. Terminator 2, obviously. Terminator 3. Terminator, Dark Fate, are my favorites. But I remember the first time I watched Terminator. I was, wow. I was, I don't know, 17. I saw it on VHS, and I wasn't supposed to, but I did, and I just loved it. And what grabbed me right from the beginning was the text where it talks about that the final fight between humans and Skynet would not be fought in the future, but it would be fought now, tonight. And I just was hit with this sense of immediacy and immersion because of that. And it's obviously, hell, it's getting close to 2029 already. But I still get that feeling of immersion when I rewatch the movie. So, Darren wants to know if my wife lets me watch Elvira. I've probably seen one Elvira movie in my life. I don't really care for Elvira, but, different strokes for different folks, right? There's you guys have heard me talk about the Charlie Parker books. There's a new Charlie Parker book out. It's called Children of Eve. If you remember me saying so, it's kind of a hard-boiled detective series with hints, and sometimes more than hints, of the supernatural. Really well done. And that just came out, everywhere. Print, Audible, Kindle. So check that out. So let's see here. What else am I reading? Well, I'm reading for the first time a book called Art in the Blood. It's a Sherlock Holmes story. And it's the first of 6. And I'm about halfway through, and I like it so far, but I'm still reserving judgment. We'll see what happens with that. I really enjoy, I guess part of the reason why I like Terminator 3, this kind of thing. And I really enjoy stories about people who, turn my air on, who walk at night for, various reasons. Maybe they're uneasy with their life, they're trying to figure things out, maybe they're exploring. I've got 3 off the top of my mind, off the top of my head, is this 2-book series by Dean Koontz that I read when they first came out in the late 90s. And the first one is Fear Nothing. The second one is Seize the Night. And it's about this 28-year-old guy who has zero pigma and egmatosis, I don't know, he calls it XP for short. But it basically means that he can't let any light, sunlight, lamplight, street lights, shine on his skin, because it will give him cancer almost immediately. The effect is cumulative. When we get sunburned or whatnot, that kind of thing, our body fixes that for us, right? But not with him. So in other words, his life is all the time at night. Yeah, Night in the Lonesome October. Um, and I'll just read you 2 short paragraphs from the second one, Seize the Night, right at the beginning. On the 11th of April, as the night passed through Moonlight Bay on its way westward, it took with it a 5-year-old boy named Jimmy Wang. Near midnight, I was on my bicycle cruising the residential streets in the lower hills not far from Ashton College, where my murdered parents had once been professors. Earlier, I had been to the beach, but although there was no wind, the surf was mushy. He's a surfer, along with his friend Bobby. The sloppy waves didn't make it worthwhile to suit up. Orson, a black Labrador mix, trotted at my side. Furface and I were not looking for adventure, merely getting some fresh air and satisfying our mutual need to be on the move. A restlessness of the soul plagues us both, more nights than not. Anyway, only a fool or a madman goes looking for adventure in picturesque Moonlight Bay, which is simultaneously one of the quietest and most dangerous communities on the planet. Here, if you stand in one place long enough, a lifetime's worth of adventure will find you. And so there's all kinds of stuff like that, both of these books. And, I just like sharing things that I enjoy. Intensity. I don't know if I've read Intensity, actually, Darren. I have read a lot of his books, especially when I was younger. Julia says those Holmes stories are good. That's good to know. Thank you. Like I said, I'm about halfway through the first one. Edward says, wow, that sounds good. Just read Bradbury's The Pedestrian. You know how that story came about, Edward? You might. But for those who don't know, The Pedestrian came about, I think it was The Pedestrian, because Bradbury was walking around at night once, and a cop stopped him. And he said something like, what do you think you're doing? And Bradbury is like, walking, which apparently was the wrong answer. Something like that. It's off the top of my mind. Chaz, hey, how's it going, buddy? Just sitting here talking about books I'm reading and rereading. So, yeah. Gretchen says that was a great series. I think you're referring to the Dean Koontz 2-book series, right? The second one did not sell all that great, at least by Koontz standards, and so he never wrote the third one. It was supposed to be a trilogy, and I really wish he would. I mean, it's not like he has to care about sales, right? He's like the 6th highest paid writer in the world. All right, Darren, you mentioned Night in the Lonesome October. This fits with both my theme here, but the Zelazny one is a classic, and I reread it every year. This one, with the same title by Richard Lehman, Night in the Lonesome October, is not a classic and never will be. One of the reasons is Lehman really kind of over-sexes his books a little bit. No, not a little bit, a lot. But so I'm not much of a fan. There are 2 books of his that I really like, and this is the first one, Night in the Lonesome October. I am not by any means comparing it to Zelazny's. Okay, there is no comparison. And the other Richard Lehman book I like that I haven't reread in a while is The Traveling Vampire Show. So let me read you from the back. I found this in a Walmart in 2002. Bentley Little says, his blurb says, I haven't been this scared when reading a piece of fiction in a long time. It's a frightening and unflinching work by a singular author. There are some spooky moments in there. If you've not read this book, you should read it. And then when you get to the part about, I don't want to spoil anything, but when you get to the part about a front porch, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Publishers Weekly Starred Review wrote, one of the eeriest and one of the most immediate horror novels of recent decades. All right, there's a King blurb too. So, everything changed for Ed that day in the fall semester when he got a letter from Holly, the girl he loved. Dear Ed, it began, I will always cherish the times we had. Holly was in love with someone else. It was as if his whole world had changed in a second. That night, heartbroken and half mad with despair, Ed couldn't sleep, so he decided to go for a walk. But it's a dark, scary night in the lonesome October, and Ed is not alone. There are others out there in the night, roaming the streets, lurking in the darkness, waiting to show Ed just how different his world could be. Some of them are enticing, like the beautiful girl who wants to teach Ed about the wonders of the night. Some are disturbing and threatening. Some are deadly and in search of prey. And the thing about this book, with this sub genre of people walking at night, if that's even a thing, is this is the one that best, it has these weird people and in some places possibly creatures. It's a little ambiguous on that one, but it's just got these just really strange and in some cases scary people. And it just really shows this little college town, or maybe medium-sized, but this college town is much different, after, say, midnight than it is during the day. And I really like that theme. It's on Kindle and print. Now, remember what I said. Lehman, if you've not read Richard Lehman, he definitely oversexes his books. But for my part, I would recommend you start and stop with his work at Night in the Lonesome October and the Traveling Vampire Show. But of course, that is just my opinion. Last but not least, I've got this one. Yeah, it's Layman, Laymon. No, he's not alive. This book by the great Jack Finney, and I think one of his really lesser known novels, because he's the guy who wrote Time After Time and quite a lot of sci-fi. He also wrote About Time, which is a collection of 12 short stories, time travel stories, which of course appeals to me. This one, however, he was a hell of a sci-fi writer. This is not sci-fi at all. It's not horror. It's a novel. And as King says on the front cover blurb of the paperback, for people who love novels, they're not apt to find a better one this year. What year was that? Well, 1976. Note the bell bottoms. Oh, Darren, no problem. Um, what happens is you got this young professional. He's an attorney. He's in his late 20s. He and his girlfriend have apartments right next to each other, so they can go out each other's balcony door back and forth. Half the time they sleep all night in bed together, or and half the time they're in their own place. Yeah, 3 by Finney is good. Um, that's right. This is in 3 by Finney. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of something else. Um, so, have you read that, Kim, yet? Have you gotten to read it yet? Uh, so he's just really, he's one of those guys. He's thinking, I've got a law degree. I like my job. Um, or more like, my job's okay. And is this all there is to life? You know, um, he's got that feeling. So he keeps waking up in the middle of the night, like at 2 or 3 in the morning, just not on purpose, just waking up. And there's a prologue, but in chapter 1, hey, in chapter 1, he's in his girlfriend's apartment while she's an architect of some sort, and she's doing some work while he, reads a magazine and so forth. And then he puts the magazine down, and he says, or let me read you some of this. And I'll try just to read a bit. Now, look, this is hard to find, so I don't think I'm doing a disservice by reading a couple paragraphs. But to anyone out there, if you're upset that I'm doing it and you own the rights to the book, please tell me, and I'll take this off the air. But what I think will happen is it'll result in at least a few sales. Anyway, he's got his forearms on the railing. He's staring out at the empty street, and after a moment he said, I'm reading now, well, there it is, Strawberry Drive, silent, motionless. I guess it's about 11 at night, something like that, I don't know. And of no goddamn interest whatsoever. A pause. Of course, no interest to us, that is, those of us who live here now in 1976. This was the bottom floor of a 2-storied gabled red. We don't need all that. I had beyond the far buildings lay on each. Had beyond the far curb, stood an irregular row of tall eucalyptus trees. In the darkness beyond those and down a slope lay the tennis courts and swimming pool, which were one reason they lived there. Beyond them, the blackness of the bay, San Francisco. And then he says, Lou, his name is, to his girlfriend. But to someone of the future, a sociologist 100 years from now, what a stunning, priceless moment to actually be here, back in 1976, to look out at this long vanished, forgotten street and see the headlights of a car appeared at a bend and Lou's right. Yes, here comes one now, a car. Head turning, he followed its approach, something of which he has only read, seen only in old photographs, remote as a Roman chariot, but now here it is in solid actuality, rolling along the street, passing under the quaint street lamps of the period, following the curious markings down the center of the road. What was that painted line for, do you suppose? And then his girlfriend asked him what the hell he's doing. I'm just trying to whet your appetite for it. Now, it's definitely a novel of its time in 1976, okay? But not insanely so. And then he gets out a tape recorder and decides he's going to do a little speech and put it in a time capsule. So he turns on the recorder and he says, "To you of the distant future, greetings from us of the remote lost past. I speak to you from a time, a date whose very sound will be antique to your ears, August the 26th, 1976. As I speak these words, you are unborn, but as you hear them, I am long dead. Louis Joliffe is my handle partner, and I am nobody, buried, long gone and forgotten." Yeah, I was 5. His girlfriend, Jesus, Joe murmured. Louis continues, "And with me in this distant time is the lovely Josephine Dunn, slow-eyed, lustrous-haired, soft of skin, as I speak, that is, back in 1976. But as you listen, she too is dust, long since passed into wrinkle-skinned, trembling old age, then buried deep. And now even the granite that once marked her final resting place is cracked, fallen, and crumbling into nothingness." And then she yells, "Hey, cut it out!" Anyway, so for the next few nights, he wakes again, and he turns on the TV the first time, and he realizes that it's too late for TV because in 1976, the channels went off the air. And he talks about on his first night, he sees the freeway and he says, "My God, look at it, the freeway, absolutely empty." Twice each weekday from behind his own or his friend Harry Levy's windshield, Lou saw this road filled with commute traffic, every lane solid with cars, and he had never seen it less than busy. Now it was a delight and a wonder to see the great lighted roadway standing as motionless as though the world had been abandoned. So, just this theme that things are different at night, and then a couple nights later, he actually goes and lays down on the freeway. So it's a good novel. Is it a great novel? No, it's not. But if you like that theme, it's a pretty good read. So man, looks like I've eaten up just about an hour here, and I don't have everything that I have in my notes talked about yet. That's okay. There's always next Thursday. I feel like I've not been on the ball as much lately as far as the e-zine. I've just been a little distracted the last couple of weeks. So just know that I realize it and I'm correcting it. So anyway, guys, you know the deal. If you read those books, you got to email me, lovecraftezine@gmail.com. Let's type that again for anyone new. If you're watching this later on your computer or whatnot, you can hit the button that says show chat replay, and it'll show you what everyone who was watching live typed as I talked. So yeah, my point is that there's my email, and if you read any of this stuff, please let me know. I like hearing that, and let me know what you thought of them too. So if you're a patron at the deep ones level and up, I will see you tomorrow for the regular Friday hangout. that we do every Friday night. So, and if you're not a Patreon, I could use the help, seriously, to keep this going. Especially right now, for reasons I alluded to earlier. Anyway, guys, thanks for spending part of your Thursday night with me. I think I'm going to go reread for probably the 10th time a little bit more of this. And I will see you guys tomorrow night. Have a good Friday. Till then.